Exhale consciously. While doing this pranayama, make sure that the physical body is totally relaxed. Mind is focused on the breath, not wandering anywhere. Doing this correctly, consistently will quieten your mind. So, this is straight on cameras. Let's practice this a few times. Now, with a quietened mind, one should do Nijidhyasanam, Upasana Dhyanam. Then, after studying Vedanta Shastras, with the mind focused on Supreme Reality, Brahma Tattvam, by recollecting key Upanishad mantras pointing to Brahman and reiterating the already understood meanings of these Upanishad mantras. The key message of these Upanishad mantras being that our own true nature, Atman, is not different from Brahman, the supreme reality. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, to be reiterated during Nijidhyasanam. So that this key message is totally internalized, resulting in transformation of the individual from Jiva Bhava to Brahma Bhava. So the process of converting knowledge or information into transformation is Nijidhyasanam. Upanishad itself says, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma Tat Jalaniti Shanta Upasita. So, Shanta Upasita, to begin with, quieten your mind. That's why pranayama is very important. After having quietened the mind, Upasita, do Upasana, Nijidhyasanam on Brahman as what? Idam sarvam khalu Brahma eva. Verily, all around us, the only absolutely real principle, only absolute reality is Brahma Tattvam. Though not comprehensible by our sense organs or mind, but by systematic study of Vedanta Shastras, one is established in the doubtless knowledge that there is an all-pervading absolute reality, Brahma Tattvam. That is the only absolutely real principle. And Brahman is called absolute reality because it is absolute in itself, independent of any other entity and of the nature of absolute existence, absolute consciousness, absolute bliss. Satchit Ananda Swarupam. And from this absolute reality, Brahma Tattvam, emerges the relatively real, seemingly real universe. Remember, the universe, the world which is being experienced by our sense organs and mind, is only a matter principle. And being a matter principle, it doesn't have any existence of its own. It borrows existence from Brahman and undergoes continuous creation, sustenance, dissolution, srishti, sthiti, layam. Since the universe doesn't have any existence of its own, it's termed as being relatively real, seemingly real, actually unreal. And since Brahman is the fundamental substratum for the universe to undergo Srishti Sthiti Layam, Brahman here is called as Tat Jalan. Tat Jalan means Tat, Tat Brahma. That supreme principle Brahma Tattvam from which this universe undergoes Jalan, Srishti Sthiti Layam. So also our own physical body, sense organs, mind, thoughts are all only matter principles. They don't have any existence of their own. They also borrow existence from Brahman, manifest themselves, are sustained for some period of time, then finally resolve themselves into fundamental matter. And so, by pointing out that both the universe, the world which is being experienced, and all the events that happen around us, as well as closer to us, whatever happens of physical body and whatever thoughts arise in our mind, by pointing out that all these are only matter principles having no existence of their own, being only relatively real, actually unreal. Upanishad is conveying a very important message. What is that? The message is that just like unreal things, things which have no existence, cannot create any impressions on our mind, cannot impact our mind. So also with this knowledge called as Advaita Jnanam, through which we understand that only Brahman is absolutely real, everything is only unreal. One should learn to be unperturbed, undisturbed by whatever events may be happening around us in the world or whatever may be happening to our physical body, including whatever thoughts are arising in our mind. People who have no knowledge of this absolute reality, Advaita Jnanam, people who are ignorant of this, attach absolute importance to everything happening around, including whatever is happening to their physical body and whatever thoughts are arising in their mind. And all these are subject to continuous change, ups and downs. And so, connecting emotionally to all these things, their mind is thrown into mental upheaval. And more often than not, when things don't happen as per their expectations, even their thoughts, which may be positive, sometimes negative, sometimes blank, sometimes happy, sometimes sorrowful. More often than not, when things don't happen, which are favorable to them, things are unfavorable, attaching themselves to these events and also their thoughts. The ignorant people are subject to mental upheaval and thrown into deep sorrow, distress, dejection, and depression. And many times they're unable to recover from this state, making them very miserable. The Upanishad is conveying this key message that attain this jnanam, know that Brahman alone is absolutely real, rest are all unreal, and become a witness. Don't connect emotionally to anything. Use your intellect, become a witness to all events happening, including your own thoughts. Sakshi Cheta Kevalo Nirgunascha. Even becoming observer, witness of your own thoughts is the only way for one to be established in permanent peace. Never ever expect that everything at all points in time will happen according to our expectations. Never going to happen because they're all bound with the law of karma and our own prarabdha karma. And so the only way to be established in permanent peace is through this Advaita Jnanam. There is no other way. Nanyah pantha ayanaya vidyate. So what is the summary of all this? Summary is that this human birth provided to us is a great opportunity which should be utilized to attain this Advaita Jnanam and be established in permanent peace. Now, to further elaborate on the all-pervading nature of Brahma Tattvam, let's recollect another key Upanishad mantra pointing to the all-pervading nature of Brahman. Brahmaivedam amrutam purastad, Brahma paschat, Brahma dakshinataschottarena, adhaschordham cha prasritam, Brahmaivedam vishwamidam varishtam, idam vishwam brahmaiva varishtam. In this universe, Brahman alone is the greatest, most glorious principle, absolute reality, and importantly, this all-pervading absolute principle is an immortal principle. Remember, Brahme Vedam Amritam Purastat. And Brahman being immortal is ever existent, never subject to creation, never undergoes any change, ever pure, Satchidananda Swarupam, and never can be subject to decay or destruction. This absolutely pure Brahma Tattvam is in front of us, behind us, to our right, to our left, below us, above us, and also inside and outside each one of us. Antar Bahishcha Tatsarvam Vyapya Narayana Sthitaha. So if this absolute reality, Brahma Tattvam, Satchidananda Swarupam, Brahma Tattvam is also present within each of us, how do we recognize, how do we know, how do we understand? And why should we make an attempt to understand this Brahman as being present within us? Remember, Brahman is the nature of Ananda Swarupam, Satchit Ananda Swarupam. And for a person who recognizes, knows that this all-pervading absolute reality, Brahma Tattvam, is also present within oneself, and through systematic study of Vedanta Shastras, owns up to it as one's own true nature, that person is established in absolute bliss, Anandam, Paramanandam. Upanishads point out that the same absolute reality, Brahma Tattvam, that is all pervading, is also present within each of us, now called as Atman. Atman also is Satchit Ananda Swarupam. Brahman also is Satchidananda Swarupam. And by focusing on any of the three natural aspects, Swarupa Lakshanam of Atman, Sat Swarupam, Chit Swarupam, or Ananda Swarupam, the mind that is quietened, looking inward, withdrawn from the world, we are trying to discover the Atman within us. Remember, so the mind has to be oriented within and carefully analyzing how does the physical body function. It's only a matter principle. It has no existence consciousness. How is it functioning? How are the sense organs functioning? They are only matter principles. By careful analysis, the mind that is focused inward, one will be able to understand very clearly that there is a supreme consciousness principle present within each of us. And this principle is responsible to enable the functioning of all the different sense organs, including our own mind. So let's focus on one of the three natural aspects, Rupa Lakshanam of Atman. Let's focus on Chit Swarupam, Chaitanya Tattvam, this pure consciousness principle that is present within us. When you look inward with a quieted mind, you'll be able to understand that the mind, being only a matter principle, has no ability to cognize things on its own. Only because of the presence of the consciousness principle within, which is reflected by the mind is able to cognize things. So know that principle, ever present, consciousness principle present within each of us, Atma Tattvam, own up to it. That's our true nature. Recollect the Upanishad mantra that points to this consciousness principle present within us which enables the functioning of the mind. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate amritam. So bodham, bodham, pratibodham. Bodham means knowledge, cognition, the constant cognition, knowledge that is happening in our mind, awareness. How is it happening? Only because there is a consciousness principle present within which is enabling the functioning of the mind. Remember, mind is only a matter principle. So, bodham, bodham, pratibodha, viditam, matam. So, understand that there is a conscious principle within us which enables the functioning of the mind, which is our true nature. And for a person who knows this conscious principle and owns up to it as one's own true nature, amritatvam hi vindate. Upanishad declares that the person is bestowed with immortality. How? Knowing that my true nature as pure consciousness, Atma Tattvam, and Atman is the nature of Satyat Ananda Swarupam, knowing that my nature is true bliss principle and ever established in permanent peace. Because if I'm ever established in happiness, there's no way I can be disturbed by anything happening around. And knowing that I am that ever complete Atma Tattvam, no more desires arise in the mind of an Atmajnani, Brahmajnani. Ignorant people spend their entire life trying to fulfill various expectations, various dreams, and finally perish with a lot of unfulfilled expectations, unfulfilled aspirations, which form the seed for the next cycle of birth and death. So, Atmajnani, Brahmajnani, established in a state which is ever peaceful, without any expectations, is able to overcome this cycle of samsara chakram. No more cycle of birth and death, samsara chakram for Atmajnani. And so the person is established in Amritatvam, Moksham, liberation, immortality here and now. So, Pratibodha Vijitam Matam Amritatvam hi vindate. And Atmana vindate viryam. So this Atmajnanam bestows a special mental strength, mental fortitude for a person when alive. What is that? Ability to insulate oneself from everything happening around. This mental strength enables one to be established in the knowledge that everything that's happening around is only unreal. And so the person remains unperturbed, undisturbed by anything happening around and always established in permanent peace. So, Atmana vindate viryam, special mental fortitude while being alive. Vidyaya vindate amritam. This knowledge, when it is internalized, the person undergoes transformation. The Brahmanishta, Atmanishta, the person attains immortality. Upanishad clearly conveys the message that knowledge of one's own true nature as Atman, not different from Brahman, bestows immortality. Pratibodha vijitam matam amritatvam hi vindate atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate amritam. Now let's see how in Sri Dakshinamurthi Stotram, Acharya Shankara points out that this Atma Tattvam is ever present in us continuously, though we don't pay importance to it. At least during study Vedanta Shastras, one can recognize very clearly ever present Atma Tattvam in all of us. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om Vakratunda Mahakaji Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarpada Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parambrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Shaje Bhavaroginam Gurave Sarva Lokanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankara Acharya Madhyamam अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतं वन्दे भगवन्तो पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः अपार करुणा सिंधुं ज्ञानदं शान्तरूपिणं श्रीचन्द्रशेखरगुरुं प्रणमामि मुदान्वहम् ॐ. Let's all chant the 6 key shlokas focusing on jnanam never to be forgotten. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Shri Saraswatyai Namaha, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Bhagavanuvacha तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थम् अहमज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थः ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता ज्योतिषामपि तज्ज्योतिः तमसः परमुच्यते ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं ज्ञानगम्यं हृदि सर्वस्य विष्ठितं न हि ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रमिह विद्यते तत्स्वयं योगसंसिद्धः कालेनात्मनि विन्दति ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानम् येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषामादित्यवज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परं यथैधांसि समिद्धोऽग्निः भस्मसात् कुरुतेऽर्जुन ज्ञानाग्निः सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा यस्य सर्वे समारम्भाः कामसङ्कल्पवर्जिताः ज्ञानाग्निदग्धकर्माणं तमाहुः पंडितं बुधाः ओम शांति शांति शांति. Now the 5 key shlokas focusing on matter principle, equally important to remember them. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mame Bahe Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite Ananyascintayanto Mam E Janah Paryupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Mahamyaham Mattah Parataram Nanyate Kinchidasti Dhananjaya Mayi Sarvamidam Protam Sutre Maniganaiva Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hriddesherjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantrarudhani Mayaya. How does one overcome this Maya Prabhavam? Only by Advaita Jnanam. It is very well summarized in this wonderful Gaudapada Karika, presenting the essence of all the Upanishads. So recollect this and try and reiterate the meaning while chanting it. Prapancho yadi vidyeta nivarteta na samshayaha maya matramidam dvaitam advaitam paramarthataha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today's Gita Shloka for contemplation. We've been seeing key verses from Dhyana Yoga, 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And so, Dhyana Yoga is a wonderful chapter presenting the complete essence of Vedanta Shastras in one chapter. One should get Atma Jnanam and do Nijidhyasanam. And if one doesn't get moksham in this life, even though focused on Vedanta Shastras, Shravana Manana Nijidhyasanam, what will happen to the person in the next life? Bhagavan says wonderfully that the person will continue from where the person left in the previous life and proceed further closer to moksham in this next life. So look at this verse, verse number 45. 6 chapters, 6.45. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Prayatnadyatamaanastu Yogi Samshuddha Kilbishaha Aneka Janma Samsiddhaha Tato Yati Param Gatim. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So in this verse, Bhagavan is clearly establishing the key conditions through which a person attains moksham in that particular life. Look at the verse carefully. Yatamanaha tu. Yatamanaha means what? Striving. So remember all the previous key verses which we have already contemplated. Because of the previous Janma's impressions, even though not willing, just being only a curious student, very soon the person will start studying Vedanta Shastras, cross over the Karma Kanda Vedas. Instead of focusing only on Karma Kanda, quickly the person will go to Jnana Kanda. And now what the person will do? Striving. That means what? Focusing on establishing oneself in sadhana chatushtaya sampattihi. Yatamanaha is equal to striving to attain sadhana chatushtaya sampattihi. What are they? Vivekam, Vairagyam, Shamadhi, Shatka sampattihi, and Mukshutvam, Vivekam, knowledge of what is real, unreal, what is permanent, what is impermanent. Vairagyam, dispassion, while other people are totally passionate, desire oriented, and orienting themselves to worldly objects and chasing them. This person knows the value of all these worldly objects. They don't provide any permanent happiness. So withdrawing from that, using it for functional purpose, but not getting emotionally attached to any worldly things. This passion, constantly striving, because this vairagyam, abhyasena ta kaunteya, vairagyena cha grihyate. And associated all the 6 important qualities, shama, dama, uparati, titiksha, shraddha, samadhana, and a deep down desire for liberation, mukshutvam. So this sadhana chatushtaya sampattihi, the person is striving to establish permanently, not to slip from that. How? Prayatnat, prakarshena yatnat, very diligently. All the effort is being put very diligently, striving to be established in sadhana chatushtaya sampattihi, and also studying Vedanta Shastras continuously, constantly. Shravana Manana Nidhyasanam. Yogi. So, who was a yoga bhrashta in the previous life is a yogi in this life. Follows the Jnana Margam, becomes a Jnana yogi. And this is happening after what? Not just like that. After many, many, many births. Aneka Janma Samsiddhaha. So, even the previous life, the person was a yoga bhrashta, has not happened suddenly. Previous life to that has also put a lot of effort. So this is the culmination of the effort diligently put in over many, many lives. So aneka janma samsiddhaha. So this yogi has been totally refined in the mind through many, many births. So aneka janma samsiddhaha. Samsiddhaha means total purity, refinement of the mind over many, many births, aneka janma samsiddha. And what is happening to the mind of this jnana yogi? Samshuddha kilbishaha. Samyak shuddha kilbishaha. Person is now totally free from all impurities. So, impurity is not physical impurity. So, there is no impurity in the mind, no kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsaryam. And with the pure mind, the person also has studied Vedanta Shastras, and so very quickly, as Uttama Adhikari, attains that Jnanam, Aham Brahmasmi. So what will happen to the Jnana yogi was a yoga bhrashta in the previous life. Yati param gatim. Yati means attains. Param gatim, the supreme goal. What is supreme goal? Moksham. Acharya Shankara again and again reiterates, Mokshayeva Parama Purushartha. That is the supreme goal of life. Attains liberation, immortality, Amritatvam, Moksham. It's what Param Gatim. Where? Tataha, here and now, consequently. So in this life, it's a culmination of the effort put in over many, many, many lives. Aneka Janma Samsiddha. This life, the person attains the supreme goal of moksham. And once the person attains moksham, is there anything left? That is the end. The ultimate goal has been reached. No more subject to birth again. So this is a process. So one has to continue to invest quality time in sadhana chatushtaya sampatti acquisition and jnana yoga, shravanam and nididhyasanam constantly to be established in doubtless knowledge. Aham Brahmasmi. I am that absolute truth, Brahma Tattvam, my true nature. So wonderful verse to be reminded by oneself again and again that definitely ultimate goal we can reach and attain moksham. If not in this life, at least next life. But you cannot postpone it. Okay. Anyway, Bhagavan has told next life will happen. No, Bhagavan has told it is a continuation of this life. In this life, we don't put effort. Next life, there's no guarantee what will happen. So, very important verse. Let's chant it and remember the meaning. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Prayatnadyatamaanastu Yogi Samshuddha Kilbishaha Aneka Janma Samsiddhaha Tato Yati Param Gatim. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now, let's begin our session on Sri Dakshinamurthi Stotram, which is going to explain this Atma Tattvam so that we get crystal clear knowledge of our own true nature as Atman. Atha Srimad Shankaracharya Virachita Sri Dakshinamurti Stotram. Let's stand all the Dhyana shlokas in the first few verses we already learned. Om Maunam Yakhya Prakatita Para Brahma Tattvam Yuvanam Varshistante Vasadrishiganaihi Avratam Brahmanishtai Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudramananda Rupam Vatma Ramam Mudita Badanam Dakshinamurti Midhe Om Vatavita Pisamipe Bhumi Bhage Nishannam Sakala Muni Jananam Dhyanadataramarat Tribhuvana Gurumisham Dakshinamurti Devam Janana Marana Dukkacheda Daksham Namami Chitram Batataror Mule Vriddha Shishya Gurur Yuva Gurostu Maunam Yakyanam Shishyastu Chinna Samshayah Om Namah Pranabarthaya Shuddha Jnanaika Murtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Vishaje Bhavaroginam Gurave Sarva Lokanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Chidghanaya Maheshaya Vatamula Nivasine Satchidananda Rupaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The first few verses of Dakshinamurti Stotram. Om Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyannatmani Mayaya Bahiribodhutam Yatha Nidraya Yat Sakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanamevadvayam Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Bijasyantarivankuro Jagadidam Prang Nirvikalpam Punaha Maya Kalpita Desha Kala Kalana Vaichitrya Chitrikritam Maya viva vijrumbhayatyapi mahayogi vayasvechaya. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Yasyaiva Spuranam Sadatmakamasat Kalparthagam Bhasate. Sakshat Tattvamasiti Veda Vachasayo Bodhayatyashritan. Yat Sakshat Karanad Bhavenna Punaravrittir Bhavam Ho Nidhau. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Nana Chhidra Ghatodara Stita Mahadeepa Prabhavaswaram. Jnanam Yasya Tu Chakshuradhikaranadvara Bhaispandate. Janamiti Tameva Bhantamanubhati Etat Samastam Jagat. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Deham pranamapindriyan epichalan buddhincha shunyam viduhu. Stri balandha jadopamastvahamiti bhranta bhrashambadina. Maya Shakti Bilasa Kalpitamaham Vyamoha Samharine. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Rahungrasta Divakarendu Sadrsho Maya Samakchadanat. Sanmatrah Karanopasamharanatah Yo Bhut Sushuptah Puman. Pragaswapsamiti Prabodha Samaye Yah Pratyabhignayate. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Balyadishvapi Jangradadishu tatha sarvasvavasthasvapi. Vyamritasvanuvartamanamahamityanta sada. Swatmanam prakatīkaroti bhajatam yo mudraya bhadraya. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Ardham Swagatam, hearty welcome to our next session on understanding the meanings of the verses of Dakshinamurti Stotram. By now you would have recognized that the meanings are quite complex, right? Dakshinamurti Stotram. Chanting, yes, it's some effort, you can attain perfection. But again and again to go back and study the meanings. So what is the overall summary? The first verse focuses on Tvam Pada Artham. Second verse focuses on Tat Pada Artham. Third verse, Tattvamasi Mahavakyam. Sakshat Tattvamasi iti Veda Vachasa. So the first three verses establish the essence of all the Upanishads, which is Aham Brahmasmi. Guru is saying, Tattvamasi, Tvam Tadasi. You are the supreme principle. So Uttamadhikari, the disciple claims Aham Brahmasmi. Then after going through the study, there are people in the world who are out there to confuse us. Just like there are many people even now, right? Even though you'll be taking up to study of systematic study Vedanta Shastras, because of our nature, we go to some mobile, some internet, some website, somebody will start blabbering some nonsense and it look very pleasing. Charu Vaka. Charu Vaka means what? Charu means very pleasing. Vak means speech. Pleasing speech and looks absolutely simplistic but idiotic, but that will appeal to people. This is a problem. So like that, there are people who profess strong philosophies. And so in verse number 4 and 5, Acharya Shankara had taken up for refutation different philosophies, Charvaka philosophy, and consequently all the other associate philosophies which talk about our true nature not being pure consciousness. Importantly, Shunyavadam, the nothingness is what? Ultimate. All has been beautifully negated. Go back to all the verses again and again. So, beautiful thing about Dakshinamurti Stotram is it's a wonderful what? Stotra to be chanted every day. And for the advanced students, you can also recollect the meaning. Essence of Vedanta Shastras can be recollected while chanting these verses. So, this is number 5 and 6. 5, 4 and 5 focused on refuting the wrong philosophies. And verse number 6 also focused on totally negating Shunyavadam. Now, in verse number 7, Acharya Shankara is going to restate the Atma Swarupam, which is ever present continuously in the individual, but is not recognized. We have taken this Atma Tattvam for granted. Means what? Not being aware of this pure consciousness principle that is ever present within the individual. So, to make us aware, Acharya Shankara has taken up two examples. So, Balyadishvapi Jagradadishu Tatha. What are the two examples? One is the different stages in one's life. What are the different stages? Are we the same throughout our life, right from birth to death? You go through Balya, Kaumaram, Yauvanam, Jara. Bhagavan also told in Bhagavad Gita. Do you remember the verse? So, we go through different stages in our life. Though these changes are what? They are distinct and different. Yes or no? Are they the same? They are different and they are not continuous. Because once you move from childhood to boyhood, Balyam to Kaumaram, Dehinosmi Nitha Dehe, Kaumaram Yauvanam Jara. Very good. Waiting for people to recollect. Huh? So, though the physical body undergoes changes from Balya, Kaumaram, Yauvanam, Jara means what? Small child, then boyhood, then youth, then middle age and old age. Physical body undergoes various changes, and these states are distinctly different. And are they continuous or are they discontinuous? For some time you are a child, and then you become a boy, then you become a youth. So they are also not continuously the same. There is difference that is happening to the physical body. Anybody who thought the physical body is permanent, that is ultimate, will clearly be able to see that the physical body has undergone a lot of changes, right? From the time you are born up to now. Some people have this habit, right, of having different photographs from childhood to ripe old age. But in all that, they'll say that I am this, I am this, I am this. So, from the state of childhood till the last state of existence through old age, there are different states of existence of the physical body. Similarly, even during a single day, the mind goes through three different states. So, Acharya Shankara has taken the example of physical body undergoing changes over a period of lifetime. And then second example is the mind which goes through three states, three different states. And each state is different from the other state. What are the three states? Waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. So a waker cannot be a dreamer. Remember, a dreamer cannot be a waker. A person in deep sleep cannot be either a waker or a dreamer. So Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, three states have been analyzing again and again. So one example with respect to physical body, write down. Another example with respect to the mind, which are the closest to us, which we have strongly owned up. Acharya Shankara says, both these are continuously changing, they are discontinuous. But both in what? The different states of the physical body. So, so which is what? Childhood, boyhood, youth, and old age. There is one principle which is constantly there. What is that? Atma Tattvam. That is why, even though you become old, you point out to the photo of being a baby and say, I. That I was there even when the person was a small boy, a small child. Now also the same I is continuing. There's no change. That aham vritti, which is an aspect of Atma Tattvam, consciousness principle is the same in spite of the variations in the physical body. Similarly, The pure conscious principle is the same principle present during all the three states of experiences of the mind: waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. So, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, the same pure consciousness is there in all the three states. So, Acharya Shankara says, observe that principle, that Atma Tattvam, that is ever the same, constant principle. Arise, awake to that, which is ever the same. And that principle, which is the same during past, present, and future, is the absolute truth. Trikaleshu tishtati iti satyam. Yes or no? It's common sense. If something was present earlier but not present now, then it cannot be absolute truth because it has changed. It is now no longer existing. But that which is present in all the three states, past, present, and future, is absolute truth. So, what is that principle? Pure consciousness principle, which is constantly shining. So, you've taken it for granted. Just like during day, we take sunlight for granted. Only when there is dark clouds and it is raining, then we say, why the sun is not coming? We start complaining. But when it is available, taken for granted. Similarly, this pure conscious principle is ever existent. It is not something that is new. I now arise awake to that principle which is ever present. Also focus my orientation of mind towards that. So it is not that suddenly you claim that this Atma Tattvam is there and I am that. It was ever existent. Anadi Mayaya Suptaha Yada Jiva Prabudhyate. We have been totally ignorant of the fact that our true nature is Atman. And when one fine day, Anadi Mayaya Suptaha, this Anadi Maya, ever existent Maya Prabhavam, which has made us what? Asleep. That means what? Unaware, ignorant of this Atma Tattvam. Yada Jiva Prakarshena Buddhyate. When the Jivatma arises, awakes to this truth that I am that Atma Tattvam. All this is only changing. Physical body is changing, mind is changing even more faster. Which changes faster, physical body or mind? Within one kshanam, the mind goes to some other thought, right? So, never continuous changing states of existence of the physical body and the three states of the mind. There is one permanent thing which is Atma Tattvam. Recognize that, own up to that. That is our true nature. And that is what is called as Swa Atmanam. That is my true nature. And this is what? Wonderfully explained by the Guru, Vedanta Acharya, Brahma Vidya Acharya, like in Kathopanishad. Yamadharmaraja explains the Atma Tattvam. The Guru explains this Atma Tattvam to the seekers of truth. And this teaching is both through verbal explanations, proper systematic explanation, as well as through non-verbal communication using some symbols. So, already have seen Karakalita Chin Mudramananda Murtim. Karakalita Chin Mudramananda Rupam. Somewhere we studied that, right? Similar to that, here Acharya Shankara is recollecting the same thing through a mudra. Means what? Chin Mudra. What is Chin Mudra? Remember? So, I, Jivatma, out of ignorance, is attached to naturally the other three fingers, which represents what? Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, and Karana Shariram. So once the Jivatma attaches to Sthula, Sukshma, Karana Shariram, it can never connect with the thumb, which represents Brahman. So this forefinger represents Jivatma. The three other fingers represents the three Sharirams, Shariratrayam, which are born out of ignorance. And so when the knowledge arises that I am neither Sthula Shariram, nor Sukshma Shariram, nor Karana Shariram, then that means what? You have to disconnect from these three, Chin Mudra, right? From these three and connect with Brahman, then you are establishing the absolute truth. So one Swamiji told a joke on this. What is that? Just like in some religion, they say what? Talak, talak, talak. Means what? You have to get disconnected. So disconnect from Sthula Shariram, talak. Sukh Shariram, Karana Shariram. So very easy, right? To disconnect there. But actually it's very difficult when you have to disconnect from all these three. This Jivatma recognizes Aham Brahmasmi and attains unity with Brahman. That is Chin Mudra. And it's very auspicious symbol. Say Bhadraya. Remember the mantra Bhadrang Karne Bhishnuyama Devaha. May listen to only auspicious things. Bhadram Pashye Makshabhir Yajatraha. May see only auspicious things. So Bhadraya represents auspicious, of the nature of auspiciousness. Mudra, Chin Mudra, which is symbol. So that's why same symbol in this form we use for doing what? Dhyanam, tapas. So when you want to sit down like this and focus on this. So what happens? The hands are automatically giving the impression to the mind. So the message is being conveyed by once you hold the hand like this, means what? Aham Brahmasmi. So some symbols are very powerful. This auspicious symbol is also being used in this way for one to do dhyanam during nididhyasanam. So the teacher conveys this both through verbal means and also through symbols. Both are important, but more important is proper explanation, systematically explaining the Vedanta Shastras to the students who seek this Brahma Jnanam. To that, Guru Murtahe. So to that teacher who is epitome of Sri Dakshinamurthi, my prostration. This is a summary of this verse. Now look at the verse Padavibhaga, Shabda Vibhaga. Many of them are actually Shabda, so that we understand the meaning properly. Now with this background, when you study this, you'll be able to understand. Balyadishu. This Saptami. In Balya Adishu, you can make it short. So Balya means what? Represents. Balya Adi means what? Balya, Kaumara, Yauvanam, Jara. So Adi means what? Etc. Balya Adishu. See, Balya Adishu represents in all the different states of the physical body. So childhood, boyhood, youth, middle age, old age. Balya Adishu Api. So first we'll do the Padavibhaga. Note down all the padas or shabdas. Balya Adishu Api. Jagrat Adishu. That same Api can be brought. Now you see, when you do this, you will understand more clearly. Jagrat Adishu Api. Tatha Sarvasu. All Saptami. In. Sarvasu. Avasthasu. Api. Clear now? First line. And if you have all these words written down clearly, you have to put some effort. Take a neat book, good pen. Don't use some old pen, old pencil, old book for Vedanta study, because that's going to give us liberation. After that, no need for any book. Invest in the best book, best pen for studying Vedanta Shastras. Okay? So, Balya Adishu Api Jagrat Adishu Tatha Sarvasu Avasthasu Api. First the words will take, then the meaning will take. Okay? Vyavrittasu. So for that you write the Vyutpatti. Vividham Avrittam Vyavrittam Tasu Vyavrittasu. Then Anuvartamanam. Can you see carefully? You have to do Padavibhaga. Okay? Vyavrittasu Anuvartamanam Aham. That word you underline. Aham. Aham Iti Antasphurantam. Antaha separate. Iti antaha sphurantam sada. So antaha sphurantam sada. Slowly, when you take out the individual words, the meaning will become very clear. Clear? Swa, next. Swa atmanam prakatīkaroti bhajatam yaha mudraya bhadraya. Clear? Swa atmanam prakatīkaroti bhajatam yaha mudraya bhadraya tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye nama idam namaha idam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. Clear? Now look at the meaning. Balya adishu api. So even api, even balya adi means what? Supply all the other three variables, varying states of the physical body. So balya dishu represents the varying stages of the physical body. Okay? So balya, yavana, balya, kaumara, yavanam, jara. So balya adi, adi means etc. Adishu in. Even in api, even during the varying stages of the physical body, balya dishu api. Second example, with respect to the mind, jagrat adishu, jagrat, swapna, sushupti. Supply all the other two, adi, etc. So jagrat, waking, supply swapnavastha and sushupti avastha. Adi shu means what? In all the three states of experience of the mind. So balyadishu api tatha and also jagrat adishu api. That's how the Anmaya Shabda. Sarvasu. In all these, got both the different stages of physical body and also different states of mind. Sarvasu avasthasu. Avasthasu means state. So the state with respect to the physical body, changing states are what? Balya, Yavana, Balya, Kaumara, Yavanam, Jara. The changes with respect to the mind, differing states of the mind is Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, Avasthasu, Api. So both during the different stages of physical changes of the physical body and also that of the mind. And Acharya Shankara will summarize all these changes, variations into the word Vyavrittasu. So, remember the Viptati, Vibidham, Avrittam, Vyavrittam. That means what? That which is discontinuous. Vividham, varying, discontinuous, changing states. Once you become youth, can you go back to being a child? Once you become old, can you go back to being what? Becoming a youth. You always say, no, when I was young, I was so energetic, running around, doing so many things. Now, old age, very difficult to even move to some place. Yes or no? Huh? So, they're all changing. In the constantly changing states of both the physical body and the mind, Vyavrittasu. Vyavrittam represents continuous change. Anuvrittam. Anuvrittam means that which is ever present continuously. So it's very important words. So even during all the different states of the physical body which is undergoing continuous change, it's discontinuous. There's something that is always continuous. It is anuvrittam, both physical body and mind. There is one thing that is ever continuous. Anuvrittam means continuous. Vyavrittam means discontinuous. distinctly different. Anuvrittam continues ever the same. What is that? Aham, 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 iti. I. So the I consciousness is a manifestation of the pure consciousness, Atma Tattvam present within us. Ahamiti refers to the presence of Atma Tattvam. Anuvrittam. Anuvrittam means what? Continuous, not even for a brief microsecond. This ceases to exist. Even Sushupti, it is there, but we are not able to recognize. Only in waking up, you recognize that, yes, I was existent during deep sleep as well. Aham iti antaha. So both within the physical body and within the mind. Antaha sphurantam. Sphurantam means ever shining, ever resplendent, ever present. Jyotishamapi tad jyotihi. Even when everything is asleep or not awake, it is ever awake, ever present. Spurantam sada. Word sada should be underlined. So sada, ever existent, same Atma Tattvam during the varying, differing states of the physical body and the mind. What is that? That is my true nature. Swa Atmanam. That true nature of mind. Second half will go until next. First, I'll give the summary. Prakati karoti bhajatam. Prakati karoti means teaches, explains. To whom? Bhajatam. Seekers. Bhajatam means disciples, seekers of the truth. To that teacher, Dakshinamurthi, who teaches to his students, seekers. Yaha mudraya bhadraya. Bhadraya mudraya. Janmaya. Bhadraya means auspicious symbol. Chinmudra. To that Guru, my prostration, who is Sakshat Dakshinamurti, physically present in front of me. So clear? So Sada Spurantam. Ever existent. And so underline the word Vyavrittasu Anuvartamanam. So wonderful verse. We'll chant again. Details of the second half in the next session. बाल्यादिष्वपि जाग्रदादिषु तथा सर्वास्वस्थास्वपि व्यामृत्तास्वनुवर्तमानमहमित्यन्तस्फुरन्तं सदा स्वात्मानं प्रकटीकरोति भजतां यो मुद्रया भद्रया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ओम शांति 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 ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम तत्सत् कृष्ण 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 शुभमस्तु समस्त सन्मंगलानि भवन्तु हरि ओम इट अगेन 12 hours studying the Kathopanishad final portion. Narayana, Narayana, Narayana.